in this world's too much. I swallowed all I could.
Welcome back, everybody, to Niko's Comic Book Hauls and Reviews. In this episode, I'll be talking about the collected edition comics that I collected throughout the month of February 2021, and I'll also be doing some quick reviews for you guys as I flip through them and show them off for you, and let you know what I thought of some of the books that I had read that I also hauled in the month of February 2021. If you have checked out this video, any of the previous ones I have done so far, thank you. And if you've come back, please, leave a comment if there's something you want to see more of, something I can improve on for these videos moving forward. I really appreciate it. If this is your first time visiting the channel, please hit that subscribe button if you like what you saw here today. Hit that notification bell if you want to be notified of whenever these monthly haul videos go up. Or check out some of the other videos that we offer here on the Late Night Chat Network YouTube channel. We have all kinds of different videos that we do, all kinds of different interests between the collective of hosts that make up the Late Night Chat Network. So please check us out. As I mentioned, hit subscribe, hit that like button, and thank you for watching as always. But without further ado, let's get into it. Let's see some of the books that I hauled here, and I'll give you my quick reviews and give you a little preview of them. Okay, so the first books that we're going to talk about that I hauled in the month of February 2021 are the ones that I've read. Now, this I actually read when it was coming out in single issue form originally, but when I heard they were going to come out with an oversized hardcover, I just had to double dip and grab this. I really enjoyed these 12 issues of Conan that Jason Aaron wrote. I'm a big Conan fan. I've loved the Kurt Busiek run. Out of some of the modern day stuff that I've read, I collected all like the Dark Horse fat trade paperbacks that they came out with for like all of the modern Conan stuff they did through Dark Horse. I've been collecting a lot of the older Marvel years stuff, the Savage Sword stuff in the original series that Roy Thomas had written, at least during that period of time. And I've been really enjoying mostly everything I've read, so I consider myself a Conan fan. And from what I've seen, this run had got somewhat mixed reviews, which I was kind of surprised about, because I really enjoyed it. I mean, obviously, if you read Jason Aaron's Thor, there is a lot of similarities between his Thor and Conan, I would say, at least from the perspective of like it was like different times of Conan's life, just like he kind of did in Thor similarly with like the three different Thors. This was almost like the three different Conans. You seen him when he was young, and then you saw him like when he was old, of course, when he became King Conan. And Jason Aaron's supposed to be returning to the series this year with another probably maxi series, like another 12-issue run, I would suspect, of him as the king in the future as King Conan. There was a good through line of a story throughout these 12 issues. It was definitely stretched out a bit, but in each issue you kind of got him at like a different point in his life. You got to like a different one and done story was told in each one leading up to the finale. I just thought it was great. I mean, from the art, Mahmoud Asrar, the artist on this, has never looked better, and his fill-in artist for a couple of issues, Gerardo Zaffino, was just a perfect fit for this book. Yeah, I mean, I can't say enough good things about this. I really loved it. Actually, let me go to the Gerardo Zaffino issues. I mean, Mahmoud Asrar killed this too. This is definitely the best I think he's ever looked. He just keeps getting better and better, and it just felt like a perfect match, these two. Jason Aaron writing Conan, and Mahmoud, just like I would never. I mean, I love the guy's art, but I would have never thought of him for this book, and he's just knocking it out of the park. I mean, look at this. This is Gerardo Zaffino here. He did 2 fill-in issues for I guess Mahmoud when he didn't. He had to catch up, I guess. But yeah, this is great. Look at that. Yeah, so as I said, I really loved this run. This is a 12-issue oversized hardcover of Conan the Barbarian, written by Jason Aaron, art by Mahmoud Asrar, with 2 fantastic issues by Gerardo Zaffino as well in here. And I think Gary Brown did a few pages in one of the issues as well. So yeah, I mean, I as a Conan fan, as a Jason Aaron fan, I was very pleased with this, and I'm looking forward to King Conan if it comes out this year as planned. All right, next up we got November. This is volume 4. This completes the November series published by Image Comics, written by Matt Fraction, art by Elsa Charretier. I'm sure I'm messing that name up. I believe she's French. Matt Hollingsworth on colors. Now, if you were like me and you read the first volume of this and you weren't completely sold, and hopefully you didn't jump ship, because I gotta say, after the first volume of this series, this has been coming out in these like original graphic novel formats. Like these never came out in single issues. But they come out in these like very nice, standard sized hardcovers, but they're printed on very nice paper. Very nice cover. All of them different color coordinated covers, and they just great presentation throughout. And Elsa, I've been familiar with her art for a little while now. She's definitely got like a lot of Darwin Cook in her art style, which is the highest compliment I feel I could give her, while still being different. She's definitely not a clone of his whatsoever, but I think that you could see a lot of like his cartooning in her work. And I love Darwin Cook's stuff, so I was really impressed by Elsa's art style when I first came across it. And this is basically like a noir crime story about three women who basically cross paths at in the midst of like this crime drama that's going down. Like they basically all got mixed up in some sort of situation, and that in that they all, like, one of them was involved in the crime, one of them is a cop who knew about the people that were committing the crime, and the other one was just like an innocent bystander type woman who got caught up in it because she tried to help somebody that may have been affected by the criminals. So their paths all cross in like a crazy conclusion in this volume. It kind of tells you the story, the first three volumes, from like all three different perspectives of these women, and then it kind of comes to a head with this final volume. I don't want to keep flipping through it just because I don't want to spoil anything that comes up here, because it was quite a interesting ending, I gotta say, for this one. But I didn't love the first volume, but each volume that came out after the first one was got better and better. So I really, really enjoyed this. I think Matt Fraction's been on a roll with some of the things he's been working on in the last few years. I've never been like the hugest Matt Fraction fan. Never hated the guy, but just not everything I felt was worth checking out. But he's been knocking it out of the park lately. Again, I think he's been doing a lot of great work, and Elsa's a great artist, and you definitely need to check out November if you jump ship too early, or if you haven't checked it out yet. It's a great little series, and it's all completed now in 4 of these hardcover volumes. All right, next up we got The Department of Truth, Volume 1. This is written by James Tynion IV, and art by, I am not as familiar with the artist, Martin Simmons. Now, the Martin Simmons art style in this, I gotta say, like, obviously, I guess the easiest comparison would be to say he's very, like, Sienkiewicz-like, which, wouldn't be too far off, honestly. I know there's a lot of other modern artists that have tried to do similar styles like Sienkiewicz, even like Rod Rice or Reyes. I don't know how you say his last name, but he's kind of working on one of the X-Men books. I think he's doing New Mutants right now. Of course, famously, Bill Sienkiewicz worked on New Mutants, and he's definitely got a similar art style to Sienkiewicz as well, that a lot of people have compared him to. But like, I think, again, if you're gonna compare him to anybody, you gotta say Sienkiewicz, only because, like, he was obviously the earliest adopter of that artwork that looked more like this than any of the modern artists that basically are just clones of Sienkiewicz, and probably not nowhere near as good as Sienkiewicz is. So, but yeah, just like a lot of different types of mixed media type stuff, it looks like, that he puts into his artwork. It's not my favorite artwork, to be honest with you, but it fits the moodiness of the book. This trade paperback collects, I believe it's the first 5 issues of this series, and this got rave reviews. Like, this was a book that was very hyped up by the time I actually picked up the paperback that came out this past month. So I gotta say, I really, really enjoyed it, but there was so much going into it for me. Like, it got hyped up so much that I felt like it was a little bit of a disappointment, only in the sense that, like, it didn't meet my expectations of how good I heard it was. But it's definitely building, and it's a very interesting series. It's about basically a secret committee that's a secret agency that tries to break down the conspiracies. Like, there's a lot of people that can will conspiracies essentially into existence by just believing in them. So they're trying to say there's people out there, of course, all the conspiracy theorists from, even like more modern conspiracies that are referenced in this book. I mean, like, basically they're saying, like, the flat earthers and people like of this nature, essentially, or that the moon landing was fake. And what they're saying happens in the world is that so many people, if they believe in this thing that's a outward lie, it's a made up conspiracy, it actually ends up existing, like, as a result of so many believers. So this agency basically their job is to debunk like these conspiracies and prove that that's all they are is bullshit, and as a result, like it would hopefully make them cease to exist in reality. So it's an interesting concept. I really like a lot of the type of conspiracy stuff they are discussing in this book. I really like things to do with like UFOs or aliens, the existence of things that we may not actually, not everyone thinks are real. And there's a lot of other things that they reference in this too, and like the conventions for the people that are really into these conspiracies, and the fact that people like this really exist in our society today, right? And there's it definitely touches on politics a bit in this as well. So I think it's very well written. Not my favorite art style, but I think it fits the book, and I'm looking forward to reading more. But I was not disappointed. Honestly, I did really enjoy it, but I just think that there's a lot of hype surrounding this book at the moment, and I guess just that James Tynion IV, between this and obviously he's the writer on Batman right now, and Something is Killing the Children, which has been a very big success for him. He's definitely got a lot going on right now that's worth checking out, and this is definitely one of those things. All right, next up we got Hellblazer. This is volume 24, sanctioned. DC, come on, you're almost there. You're almost through collecting all of Hellblazer in these fat trade paperbacks that they've been coming out with over the last, it feels like 4 or 5 years, or probably longer, several years at this point. Because we're on volume 24. I think probably only a couple of these come out every year. So they've almost recollected all of Hellblazer in these paperbacks. A lot of them were out of print. A lot of them weren't numbered, of the older collections. So I think if they do about 2 or 3 more of these, it would collect the whole rest of the series that's left. This one collected 267 to 275, and the 5-issue miniseries City of Demons, written by Cy Spencer, who actually recently passed away, so rest in peace to him, and illustrated by Sean Murphy, who's a great artist. Obviously, he's a big artist nowadays, does all the Batman White Knight stuff, has done a bunch of really well-regarded creator-owned stuff over at Image, worked with a bunch of great creators, writes and draws a lot of stuff himself nowadays, and he drew the miniseries of City of Demons that's collected in this. I've read that miniseries previously. It's a pretty good miniseries, and it has some fantastic earlier artwork by Sean Murphy. And but the actual main series issues that's collected in this is written by Peter Milligan, art by like all of Hellblazer, just a bunch of great artists. You got mostly drawn by Giuseppe Camicoli on this one, but then you also got Stefano Landini and Simon Bisley, who did some pages in a few of the issues. Just great stuff. And that's one thing, if any of you Hellblazer fans out there of the Vertigo series, you should know at this point, is that they've always had great artists on this series. A lot of artists on the come up, maybe guys that are lesser known for their art styles, that went over and worked on Vertigo stuff because it's a little bit different than Big Two superhero. And it's just great. Peter Milligan's run is actually really good, and this is my first time reading it. I loved this volume. I thought it was just another great volume. Of course, I've thought pretty much all the Hellblazer volumes have been great at this point. When this is all said and done, this 300 issue series, which I've heard of before, is just all quality throughout. If not every writer's take you're gonna love is the next, but I honestly can't say it's ever been really bad. It's always been pretty good to amazing, honestly. And if you're a fan of John Constantine Hellblazer, if you've not been collecting these collections, definitely try to track these down, because as I mentioned, they're almost through collecting all 300 issues of his Vertigo series run, which of course does not exist anymore. That's been replaced by essentially DC Black Label. So yeah, Hellblazer Volume 24 sectioned. Oh, well, there you go. All right, and then next up we got Hawkman, Hawk's Eternal. This concludes the Robert Venditti run on Hawkman that came out through DC Comics over the last few years, I guess since, maybe around Rebirth times. And this collects, I think, issues 20 to 29. This is essentially Volume 4, although they've stopped putting the numbers on these volumes for whatever reason. I guess it's a DC tactic to make sure that they sell better, because some people won't like to collect series that are so long. I'm not sure. But this was a great run. Honestly, Hawkman, a character, it's not a huge character. Definitely like a C-list character for a lot of people, I would say. But of course, he's been in the JSA. He's had a few different series, I guess most notably Jeff Johns' run on the character. But he's one of these characters that every time a new writer comes and writes something about him, they have to rework everything, and his continuity is very problematic. Like, they essentially got to wipe the slate clean every time a new writer goes to tell the origin or the reason like Hawkman exists of this character. It just kind of gets reworked every time, and Robert Venditti came from it seems like from a place where he tried to include everything, which I think Jeff Johns at the time also tried to do, but he also kind of changed a bunch of things about his history as well, I feel like. I've read it, but it's been some time. But Robert Venditti, came from it. He tried to include, honestly, every version of the character or every kind of past history. Again, he's doing one of these things where he gets reincarnated along the timeline as time goes on. And it's just been a great story throughout. I've really enjoyed it, and the artists in this volume, give a shout out to them, did a great job as well. And that's Fernando Pissarra, Marco Castello, and Marcio Takara. They all did a great job in the issues that were contained in this volume, and I thought it ended very, very well. So if this is one of these series that was under the radar for you, as it probably was for a lot of people, it's a great run, this modern Hawkman run. I would definitely check it out. Robert Venditti did a great job, and I'm glad that he, a Hawkman series that went 29 issues is pretty good by today's standards, and I'm glad he ended it when he did, because, he ended it very well. I really, really enjoyed this. All right, next up, we got Sam Wilson, Captain America, The Complete Collection, Volume 2. This concludes the Sam Wilson Captain America series, I believe. The issues that are collected in this volume, which is issues 7 to 24, Captain America 25, and Generations Sam Wilson, Captain America, and Steve Rogers, Captain America. This is a series written by Nick Spencer. And this was around the time that he made Captain America, at least in the tail end of this collection. We found out for a while there, we were supposed to think that he was an agent of Hydra, and then turned out there was like an evil Captain America version that was created. That was what went into the whole Secret Empire event and all that. I kind of steered clear of all that. It was getting a lot of bad reviews and press at the time, so I didn't end up reading that. And despite the second half of this collection probably slowly getting into that Secret Empire stuff, or maybe even the whole collection, it's been a while since I've read this. I did read this when it was coming out in issues. I really liked the Sam Wilson series, though. I thought this was really well done. I liked this. I didn't read the Captain America Nick Spencer series. I tried, but I kind of jumped off pretty quick. But the Sam Wilson stuff, after Remender's run, I think this basically started. Nick Spencer did the Captain America stuff, and I thought he had a great take on the character. He told some really good, interesting stories with him, and there was great artists throughout the run. And so I definitely would suggest checking this out if you are a fan, obviously, of Sam Wilson, Captain America. or good Cap stories. This is definitely a different type of Captain America story, and I know that Nick Spencer as a writer is not everyone's cup of tea, but I can vouch for this stuff at least. I really enjoyed the Sam Wilson part of it. His Captain America stuff, not so much, and unfortunately, this probably ties into some of that stuff, including Secret Empire. So, yeah, I mean, your results may vary in how much you like this. To be fair, actually, but I remember enjoying it for the most part. And last but not least, out of the stuff that I've read, again, I've previously read older collections about of this, but I wanted to own this because they just announced this in a deluxe, oversized hardcover version of Manhunter by Archie Goodwin and Walter Simonson. These stories originally were written as, I guess, backups in Detective Comics when Archie Goodwin was working on it back in the day. I know he was an editor for a long time as well. So maybe he was just the editor of the detective at that time, and these were the backups. Of course, I didn't read this when it was coming out, but I became a big fan of Walt Simonson over the years, and I like his art. I checked out an earlier collection of this Manhunter series, and I really enjoyed it for backups, like 8-page backups. Each sequence, a segment of this story, I thought was really well done. And is definitely a standout, I think, for things of this era, or like a hidden gem of sorts. So if you've never heard of this, definitely check this out. I know there's been a lot of Manhunter type stuff nowadays with the I'm sorry, I don't know her actual name, but the female Manhunter character. There was also Bendis used some of the Manhunter stuff recently in that mini series that he did last year, that I'm blanking on the name of at the moment. But yeah, I mean, Batman does show up here and there in this series as well, and this also collects another, I guess, issue worth of storyline that they did in the 90s, I guess, to finish out the work they had done on this Manhunter series back in the day. So if you're a fan of Walt Simonson or just good stories, I definitely would suggest checking this out. This is Manhunter, the Deluxe Edition. And then we got Golden Kamui. I believe that's how it's pronounced anyways. This is one of my favorite, if not my favorite, ongoing manga series that's coming out today. Story and art by Satoru Noda. I'm a big fan of this series. I read it as soon as I get them in. It's one of the only manga I'm kind of really up to date on right now that I read. This is just a crazy world, a huge cast of characters, and this is one of those mangas that kind of it has all kinds of different stuff going on. There's comedy beats in here. There's adventure stuff. There's history. You learn a lot of things by reading this from I guess clothing to meals that they would eat during this period of time, and yeah, it's just a really fun adventure story with a great cast of characters, really good art. I believe that the anime is set to come out soon, or it has come out, maybe the first season. Yeah, so I'm very much looking forward to checking that out when I can. And I don't read too much manga that comes out currently, but this is definitely one of my favorite things I check out. And they're up to volume 20 at this point, and it really doesn't feel like there's an end in sight. This might just be the halfway point by the way things are going in the story. So really, really good. And this beauty, cannot forget to show this one off. This is the Absolute Planetary, the new printing. Just a beautiful, beautiful looking book. I had the old printings of the Absolute edition of Planetary, and I had to pick this up because I saw pictures of this, and I was blown away by the quality and the look of this. And the older ones, while they looked alright for the time, I got them used, and they weren't as in good condition obviously as this new copy, so I had to pick this up because it's one of my favorite series ever. And written by Warren Ellis, art by John Cassaday. This is his best work of his career, as far as I'm concerned, other than, I guess, his astonishing X-Men stuff. And I know a lot of people, there was some reviews going around online about this because of the binding, because this is probably the thickest Absolute Edition they've brought out to date. This also includes the issues that were not included in the last Absolute Editions, which I guess were all the crossover issues between, like, Planetary and JLA, and the Planetary Batman, and the Planetary, there was one other one, maybe Wildstorm, I can't remember, even though it was a Wildstorm series at that time. But there's a bit of gutter loss in this collection, I would say, but not to the degree that it would affect the storyline. There's very few double-page spreads to be found in here, and if you stretch out the book, the spine and everything, when you do get this, give it a chance. I think you won't find many problems with the binding on this, as it was reported by a lot of people. My copy's great, actually. And again, just to own this, it might be a little bit fatter than some people love for their absolutes to hold it while you're sitting there reading. It might be, a little bit more challenging, but to have it all in one volume like this, it just looks great. And I can't wait to revisit this once again. So Planetary, I mean, if you've never checked out this series, this is one of my favorite things, and this is a beautiful, beautiful edition of it. Okay, so now we're getting to the books that I hauled in the month of February 2021 that I've never read. This is a great new release. This is Uncanny X-Men Omnibus Volume 4. This is of the Chris Claremont stuff. On this one, you got John Romita Jr. art, L. Milgram, and Paul Smith. And yeah, this collects issues 176 to 193, X-Men Annual 8, Kitty Pryde and Wolverine 1 to 6, X-Men and Alpha Flight 1 to 2, and Marvel Fanfare 40. Anyways, I've been collecting all of the Chris Claremont Uncanny X-Men omnibuses as they've been released. I know this was one of the more exciting releases, especially for all of the X-Men fans out there when it came out, because this is a Volume 4 that they've been waiting on for quite some time, and I'm happy to add it to my collection as well. I've never read most of the Claremont X-Men stuff, so while I do let them continue to build at this point, I can't wait to do a deep dive kind of read through of all this rich X-Men history, and obviously, whatever everybody references as the best era of X-Men. So I can't wait to get to that. Some great artists that worked on these issues, and yeah, I'm happy to have it. And next up, you got Full Metal Alchemist Volume 12. Nope. Hold on. Okay, next up, we got Full Metal Alchemist, the Full Metal Edition, Volume 12. Now, these are the hardcovers that Viz has been coming out with, recollecting Full Metal Alchemist in these, nice, somewhat oversized hardcovers, not too oversized compared to a regular manga. If we look at, let's say, this one here, yeah, see, as you can see, it's a little bit bigger than a regular, smaller paperback manga. But yeah, they're very nice. Each one has a beautiful cover on them, like nice different color of the actual letters. Foil embossed. It's very, very nice, each edition of these that comes out. And I started collecting Full Metal Alchemist. I haven't read the whole series as of yet. I really, really enjoy it. I knew I enjoyed it enough to actually stop collecting the paperback versions when they announced these hardcovers, and I started picking these up instead. I think I've read up to about volume 7 or 8 in the hardcovers, but I'm a few volumes behind. These collect about a volume and a half of the original mangas in them. So I think it might be going up to about volume 18, I had heard. So very much looking forward to completing the series finally. So Full Metal Alchemist, again, it's got like a couple of different anime adaptations of this. And so if you're familiar with this is definitely one of the more popular animes and mangas that I'm well aware of anyways. And yeah, great stuff. Then we got Wonder Woman Book 2, Ares Rising. This is the William Mesner Loeb's run. This one's drawn mostly by Lee Moder, it looks like here. And this is the stuff, I guess, before the Mike Deodato stuff on Wonder Woman. He came out previously with a collection of the Deodato stuff, which is just those issues. So this collects issues 77 to 89. Yeah, and the Mike Deodato collection, I think, starts off at 90. It might be like 90 to 100 or just over 100, which I think ends out the William Mesner Loeb's run on Wonder Woman. So there's been this and one previous volume of the Mesner Loeb's run in these paperbacks with basically the same trim of the other Wonder Woman collections, fat paperbacks that have been coming out lately, including like the George Perez ones. So I've heard good things about this run, so I was happy to add it to my collection. And with these two books, along with the Deodato one, like I said, it collects the whole run now, so I can finally check it out eventually. So I was happy to pick this one up. And yeah, again, I've heard really good things about this. I think this came after Perez, maybe before John Byrne. I think it was in between that period. So yeah. And then we got Spawn, the Compendium Volume 1. I've read about half of this. This collects the first 50 issues of Spawn. And, you know, I know Spawn may not be at the top of everybody's list for the best well-written series of all time. I know I've heard, extreme 90s. I've heard, there's a lot of people that like to make comments about Spawn and the quality over the years. And, but you know what? I was a huge fan of Todd McFarlane when I was younger. Huge fan of Spawn. And, the hardcovers are mostly out of print, and I've only collected up to volume 10, so out of the 300 plus issues that have come out at this point of Spawn, as is still going on today and is still popular with some, these compendium editions, if they continue to collect them like this, I'll end up picking them up, because after the McFarlane stuff, I mean, Greg Capullo comes on here on this series, and this is, he was on this title for a long time. Again, this is one of those series that had a lot of great artists that have worked on it. So I mostly wanted to pick this up for that, and because it's a great price. I mean, I think this retailed at $60. I got it for a bit cheaper. It's got 50 issues in it. I'm not huge on the compendium format of these big paperbacks, but again, if they continue with these, this is probably the best way to collect this series, guys, because I can't speak to the level of quality of a lot of the stories in these, but if you like Spawn, if you like the character, if you've wanted to check it out like I have for a long time, see for yourself, maybe you'll love it. And if you wanted to see some great artists work on this series, then yeah, this is definitely a must buy. For me, anyways, it was a must buy. And yeah. I mean, how many issues is Clocks in? I mean, it's, again, 50 issues, but pages wise, this is a huge chunk, this compendium that you get here. So yeah, the Spawn Compendium Volume 1, hopefully they keep pumping these out. Alright, and lastly, we got Blade of the Immortal Deluxe Edition Volume 2 by Hiroki Samura. I was collecting the paperback omnibus editions that Dark Horse had put out of these previously. I read the first volume, which each one of these collects about 3 of the original, smaller manga paperbacks that Dark Horse had released of Blade of the Immortal. So there's about 3 volumes in one, so there's a lot in each one of these deluxe hardcovers, as well as the paperback versions that came out previous to this. And I read the first one, and I loved it. Loved it so much, I was like, okay, I had some of the paperback omnibus editions at that point. I was like, I need to collect this in the newly deluxe editions that they announced at that time. So fantastic looking art, especially in this oversized format. These are very beautiful looking hardcovers, similar in style and size to the Berserk deluxe editions that they've been coming out with. And I really, really enjoyed the first volume. I mean, it's very dark, very violent series, but really great looking artwork throughout. And I can't wait to keep collecting these editions. I think there was about 8 to 10 of the omnibus editions, the paperbacks. So it would be similar to how many of these hardcover deluxe editions are going to come out with. They cost about $50 retail. So it's but it's a nice oversized manga deluxe hardcover. So honestly, I feel if you can get it for that price or even cheaper, it's well worth it. And just check out the first volume. Like I said, you get a big chunk of it. You get 3 regular size volumes contained in these deluxe editions. So it'll give you a good idea whether or not you dig on the series if you read that first one. So I personally loved it, and I can't wait to read more. All right, well, that's going to do it for the month of February 2021 with my comic book hauls and reviews. Thank you for tuning in. If you like what you saw here today, please hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, check out some of the other videos that we do here on the Late Night Chat Network, and hit that notification bell if you want to be notified of any upcoming haul and review videos that I do in the coming months. I'm going to be trying to put these out monthly, probably a little earlier in the month if I can. Please leave a comment if there's any way you think I can improve on these videos, anything you would like to see, maybe a collection video of my comic book room here sometime in the future. If that's something that interests you guys, please let me know. And thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time.